Hi everyone, we're live. We're starting just a minute early so that everybody can get tuned in before we start our conversation with Emily Grave right here. We were just talking about fun things like internships and how we got to be in our positions out here in Hawaii. Like, I did go to college for what I knew I wanted to do, which was theater. And now I teach science.
Awesome.
Which was a great, actually, segue. And obviously, I use my degree every single day.
Yeah.
And it's really fun and wonderful.
Awesome.
So it worked out for me. I love being a know-it-all. And I love learning new things. And originally, that's why I went into theater, because I would get the chance to learn new things all the time.
Yeah.
And so here I am, working at Lion Arboretum, learning new things about plants all the time. And it's really, really wonderful. How's the sound, guys?
We are experiencing technical difficulties on our end, checking the sound.
Okay.
So how does theater help you work at Lion?
Oh, that's a great question. Because we're doing a lot more with social media and things like that, theater can actually come down to a lot of writing, creativity, and it's about communicating.
Okay.
So oftentimes with theater, it's communicating with characters and things like that, but that can help when you're trying to teach science or trying to communicate science.
Yep.
Because you can come at it from a different angle.
Yeah, totally.
And also understand who your audience is. That's a big part about audience. Knowing your audience.
Yeah.
Oftentimes with theater communities and stuff like that, it's usually it skews older.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of musicals and things like that. But if you want to do something really interesting and kind of gritty, you have to advertise to a different audience.
That's right.
And I know that the theater community here in Hawaii has been doing some very interesting things with virtual spheres. Oh yeah. No, there's been some virtual performances out there. So
I'm going to check that out. I was in musicals when I was in high school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Wizard of Oz and Footloose.
Awesome. Oh, Footloose, that would have been fun. I was in like the old school ones, Bye Bye Birdie and Don't Rock the Boat. And
oh man.
What was the first one? Can't remember the first one. A long time ago. It was a murder mystery. It was a one act.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love
3 murders and it's only Monday. There it is. Just came in.
I love murder mysteries. They're so much
it was great.
super goofy.
Yeah, totally.
Oh man. How are we doing, guys?
We're still working on it. Tell us about today's weather.
Okay, let's talk about today's weather. Well, up at the Arboretum, it is very, it's raining on and off, and it's also getting very gusty up here too. So we keep looking at our trees to make sure there's no hangers wherever we're walking.
My car is safe in the parking lot.
Yep, the car is safe in the parking lot. It's a good spot to be.
Chelsea, thank you for telling us that the sound is clear.
Excellent. Thank you, Chelsea. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I want to say aloha and welcome everyone to Lion Arboretum. I'm Hadley Anderson. I'm the education specialist here at Lion. And today we have a very special guest. We have Emily Grave. She is she's the coordinator for the Laukahi, the Hawai'i Plant Conservation Network.
Good job, Heather.
And she's actually resides up here at Lion when we're in normal times or pre-pandemic times. Currently working from home.
Yeah.
Which is proving to be a challenge for most of us, and that's okay. But she's joining us today to talk a little bit more about Laukahi and also how she got to be here at Lion and some of the interesting ways that we get to our positions in conservation or in science too. So welcome, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. So let's talk a little bit about you. So we'll start off there. So what do you do here at Lion?
Okay, so I should explain a little bit about Laukahi first. The Hawai'i Plant Conservation Network is an alliance of different plant conservation organizations that are aimed at fulfilling the objectives and targets of the Hawaii Strategy for Plant Conservation.
Awesome.
So actually our Hawaii strategy was adapted from the global strategy for plant conservation that was developed by the UN's Convention on Biological Diversity. Mm-hmm. But it was specifically designed or tailored to fit our unique plants and ecosystems. So as you know, because we're up at Lion here, we have beautiful plants, beautiful ecosystem. And Lion was actually one of the founding partners of Laukahi. So they were one of the first to sign the charter.
Excellent.
And we often collaborate on different grant writing opportunities. Nellie Sugi'i, who's the acting director up here after Zach leaves, she's the chair of our advisory council. So really my role here up at Lion is to continue offering projects and different ways to continue contributing to the Hawaii strategy.
So who are some of the partners that you work with in Laukahi?
Oh boy, we have
a lot.
We have almost 30 different partners, real diverse set of partners too. Kupu is one of our partners. Mm-hmm. We partner with the Bishop Museum. Right now we're working on a project with them, the database and dashboard project that will show progress on all of the targets of the strategy online. So the public can view that. Yeah, it's really exciting. Also a whole consortium of botanical organizations, botanical gardens. So like NTBG, that's the National Tropical Botanical Garden, Maui Nui Botanical Gardens, Waimea Botanical Garden, a whole host from across the state. So we're a statewide network of different organizations.
That sounds pretty unique among states. I'm from Florida, and granted, I wasn't working in conservation when I was in Florida either, but I hadn't heard anything about that, anything that's specific. But I know that Hawaii is very unique in its flora.
That's right.
And so, and especially how many plants are endangered or extinct at this point.
Yep.
So it does take a statewide effort.
There's a need. Yep. Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Okay, that's a lot of information. And that's a lot of great work that's happening too. So as a coordinator, that sounds like it's a pretty big job.
Yeah, there's a lot of different hats that I get to wear every day, which makes it exciting and also challenging at times. But it's all for the betterment of our plants, and I can't think of a better reason to stick to it.
Fantastic. Okay, great. Well, okay, so how did you come to find yourself as part of this amazing statewide network?
It was a long time coming. Do you want me to start at the beginning? Or?
Yes, let's start at the beginning. Okay. Did you always want to work with plants and work in plant sciences?
So the sciences part came later. I always loved working with plants. My mom had a garden, huge garden in Minnesota. It actually took a tractor to till that thing up in the spring and then the fall. Wow. It was huge. So my sister and I were always helping her plant and weed and cover for frost. It was in Minnesota, so lots of frost. I think it's getting down to negative 50 tonight in Minnesota, so hopefully nobody's still got plants in the ground, but...
Just cold thinking about it. It's like a little cold up here, and that's like 74 degrees.
60. That's me. I know, how did I come from Minnesota? But then I started my own garden when I moved to Big Island. So it's all volcanic rock over there. There's no topsoil, so I had everything in pots. So that was interesting. But I became really intrigued in what was going on. Why is it wilting? Why is it turning brown? Why is it turning yellow? What's going on? So I took a couple of community college classes on plant sciences, and that's what really drew me in. I was like, oh, I'm all in. Our flora is amazing. I fell in love right away, and that's when I moved over to Oahu to finish my degree. I worked as a server and a bartender for 15 years, putting myself through college and then grad school. And then in grad school, I actually took a position up here at Lion, working with Lion and Laukahi. That was to curate microcrop collections and prioritize species for action planning. So then, let's see, my predecessor, Matt Keir, he took a job with DOFA as the state botanist.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I applied for his position and was hired in June 2018.
So 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, almost 3, almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been quite a journey.
And for those tuning in who aren't very familiar with Lion Arboretum, we do have the Hawaii Rare Plant Program up here, which includes our seed lab and our micropropagation lab. So you were coordinating, you were working with the micropropagation
That's
lab.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And the seed lab helped out a lot too. The seed lab and Lion, I got to give credit to them. They're really moving the needle on a lot of our targets. So they're really, really a model for other organizations. And yeah, we have a great relationship with Lion.
So give me an example of one of your targets that we're trying to hit.
Sure. So let's take, for example, part of the Hawaiian Rare Plant Program is the Seed Conservation Lab and the Micropropagation Lab together. So we need to hit 75% of XC2 collections secured of all SCI. So we have 791 species of conservation importance. Those are SCI.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And but the number went up. So in 2012, when Matt and Lauren wrote the strategy and did the XC2 assessment, which sort of started Laukahi, it was 724. So the amount of species keeps going up, but we've met that target and now we're exceeding that target. And part of that is Lion's dedication to storing those propagules.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what percentage Lion has, but it's a huge amount. And they store some of the rarest species that are extinct in the wild, species that there's only one individual left, lots of PEP species,
Yeah, so ex situ is a native plant outside, it's a plant that's outside of its home range,
That's
essentially, right?
Yep.
So it's off of, so that can mean that we can have things that are extinct in the wild, but here on site in our micropropagation lab, and that's ex situ.
That's right. And so the targets really of the strategy span traditional in situ production, which is in the wild, to ex situ conservation like we were just talking about, but also includes metrics around other components like outreach, which you know is very important.
Yes.
And also, you know, cultural integration, sustainable use, and just a whole host of different, you know, promotion. A lot of outreach though, and partnerships. How important partnerships are to get the work done, and that's what really makes our network stand out. Is, you know, the diversity of partners that we're able to engage to accomplish the diverse set of tasks laid out in the strategy. And in that way, we can really realize our collective potential.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is really cool. It sounds like we're accomplishing a lot, especially in terms of trying to get these things back into their native habitat.
Yeah.
And so that's some of the stuff that you do too, as well as coordinate if we have plants that are ready to go and if we have sites that are ready to go.
That's
Not
right.
us specifically, but Hawaii in general has those sites ready to go.
Yep.
You can coordinate with organizations who have set up those sites and also the organizations that have those plants that are mature enough to go there.
That's right. Like Lion will work with PEP and DOFA and Fish and Wildlife Service to get those plants back out into the wild where they belong, and potentially even start like a captive breeding program at a botanical garden to really, you know, ensure we have the genetic diversity of the original population.
Oh my gosh.
Exciting.
Phenomenal. Especially if you have things that are, you know, they discover all the time 1 or 2 extant plants out in the wild just by random, or like maybe that's how long it took the seed to germinate.
Right. And that happens all the time. You know, NTBG has rediscovered at least 10 different species that were thought to be extinct in the wild just last year in 2020 with drone technology. So really exciting stuff, you know? Yeah.
So even though like things have had to go virtual, there's still a lot of technology and there's a lot of conservation that is still happening, and we're lucky to be able to go out and be outside and do things like that.
That's right.
Excellent. So you had a long history of finding your love of plants. Any advice for any of maybe undergraduates, high schoolers that are out there still struggling to find where they're, you know, what they want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say if you take away anything from this interview, it is just get a foot in the door. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I started out. You know, like I said, I went to a community college, but before that, right out of high school, I had 3 different majors in as many semesters. So, you know, you don't always know what you want to do, but once you decide, like, hey, I want to get into plant conservation, get a foot in the door. There's internships at Lion. There's internships with Kupu. Kupu's another one of our partners, and they have amazing opportunities all year round. I would say, or, you know, I think you can volunteer with every single partner of Laukahi. If not all, then a lot of them, and people are always willing to take others on and teach them what they know, and that's what it really is all about, is passing that knowledge on to the next generation. And willing participants will succeed in plant conservation. As long as you have that drive and that will, you'll get far.
Excellent. Well, that brings up an amazing point that we do have 6 internships available here at Lion. We have our 2 trail internships, so if you want to learn how to maintain trails and grounds, that's great. Those are up there. And then we also have 4 internships that have been sponsored by our Friends of Lion Arboretum, and that includes work in our seed lab, our microprop lab, our horticulture department, and our grounds department too. So check out our website. It's manoa.hawaii.edu/lion. Hopefully you can also find it on Facebook since you're already on Facebook watching. And pass this along to friends, and it doesn't have an age limit per se. But if you're interested in conservation and you're interested in working up at Lion, we do have those internships available for the summer. So Emily, thank you so much for taking time to come up here and talk about Laukahi and what you do here. And I think it was a really great interview, and I feel like I know you a little bit better too now.
Thanks, Hadley. You guys are great up here. I really appreciate the support. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime. So I want to say a hui hou, and we'll see you guys next time.